first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics is basically depends on the energy conservation law, which states that the energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, though it can be transformed from one form to any other form in which energy can exist. So this is a very fundamental law which says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to another form. This energy conservation law forms the basis of the first law of thermodynamics. This is the very fundamental law, and this forms the basis what we know in the form of the first law of thermodynamics. So let's see first law of thermodynamics, which is for cyclic processes, which states that when a system undergoes a thermodynamic cycle, then the net heat supplied to the system from the surrounding is equal to the net work done by the system on its surrounding. So here in mathematical form we can see that the cyclic integral of heat supplied is equal to the cyclic integral of the net work done. Cyclic integral represents the sum for a complete cycle. This is for the cyclic process. So the here we can see that the whole of the heat supplied is equal to the net work done. Then the next statement of the first law of thermodynamics is that heat and work are mutually convertible. It is also seen in the mathematical form that the cyclic integral of the heat is equal to the cyclic integral of the work done. So heat and mechanical work are mutually convertible. They can convert into each other form, and this is the statement of the first law. And when we talk in terms of the energy, that when we supply a heat energy to a system, it performs some of the work, and the remaining amount of energy after doing or performing work, that will be gone to the raise or reduce the energy of the system. So here in mathematically it's shown that the change in internal energy equal to the heat supplied minus net work done. So the change in internal energy of system is the sum of all energy input and outputs to and from the system. So the internal energy of the system basically depends on the what is the heat supply and what is the work done. It depends basically on that, how much heat is supplied and how much work is done. In mathematically we express the heat supplied in the form of Q 1 to 2 because it is a path function and depends on the path. Similarly work is also represented like that, W 1 to 2, because they depends on the path, whereas energy does not depend on the path, it depends on the state. State 1 energy you can directly subtract from the state 2, so it does not depend on the path, whereas heat and work are path dependent and depends on the path which they follow. Now the limitations of first law of thermodynamics we have which we discussed earlier, that the when a closed system undergoes a thermodynamic cycle, the net heat transfer is equal to the net work transfer. This is the first statement of first law of thermodynamics, which states that the heat transfer is equal to the net work transfer. So this what is the limitation in this, that this statement does not specify the direction of flow of heat and work. It does not show the in which direction the heat is flowing or the work is going on. As we all know that there is certain limitations on the flow of heat. As we know that the heat is energy in transient because of the temperature difference. So the heat flows from a higher temperature to a lower temperature, never from a lower temperature to a higher temperature. For doing this we have to perform some task or some work, or we have to input some energy to transfer heat from a low temperature to a higher temperature. Without any mechanical aid or any work, it cannot be possible. So this is the limitation of first order. It is not explained in which direction the heat is flowing. Second statement, the heat energy and mechanical work are mutually convertible. It is stated that the heat and work are mutually convertible. They can easily or fully converted. If heat energy can be easily converted into mechanical work, and the mechanical work can be fully converted into heat energy. But this is not true because mechanical work can be fully converted into heat energy, but only part of heat energy can be converted into mechanical work. Suppose let's see some example. There's the first example I say that when you are rubbing your hand, it will generate heat. So the mechanical work or the energy from your body converts heat because of the rubbing hand. But when we supply some heat to your hand, they cannot be rubbed by themselves. So when you do some work, it can be converted into heat, but reverse is not true. We have to see some example that this is some filament or a heating coil in which we supply energy in the form of electrical current, and it will provide heat. But in reverse case, when we supply some heat, it will not generate electricity or not generate energy. So reverse is not true. So these are the some basic limitations that it cannot be true that the heat and work are both mutually convertible. There are certain limitations. There are some more examples of the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. Because there is some direction in which heat flows, and the conversion is not fully from heat to work or work to heat. It is not takes place. So we see this example. Some work is done on this pedal, and some work is done there. Due to the mechanical work, it will raise its internal energy and eventually the temperature of this fluid. But when we supply some heat, it cannot move this stirrer or pedal. So when we do some work, heat will be generated, we can extract heat, but when heat is supplied, the work cannot be done or work cannot be performed. So this is the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. So now we discuss perpetual motion machine. Perpetual motion machine is the machine which violates the law of first law of thermodynamics. So that's why it's called perpetual motion machine of first kind. So it does not exist really. It's theoretically we assume that if it can be happen that when a machine which gives or provides work without taking heat energy, equivalent amount of heat energy, and continuously providing work. So this cannot be true, and this is known as the perpetual motion machine of first kind, in which it continuously provides work without the consumption of equivalent amount of heat energy, and it violates the first law of thermodynamics. That's why it's called perpetual motion machine of the first kind, PPM 1. So we have to proceed further, and in that series we have to discuss the thermal reservoir. So thermal reservoir is a body of infinite heat capacity which is capable of absorbing or rejecting an unlimited quantity of heat without affecting its temperature. So we can add heat or take heat, whatsoever the case, the temperature of the body remains the same. Suppose from the ocean we add some hot water, it will not affect the temperature of the ocean. So similarly, in that sense, the thermal energy reservoir have infinite heat capacity and their temperature remains constant. We can take infinite amount of heat from them and their temperature remains constant. Similarly, thermal energy sink have also be taken in the similar sense that how much amount of energy we can dump into it, they will not change or affect its temperature. If the reservoir at a higher temperature, it is called or known as the thermal energy source, and if it is at a lower temperature, then we call it sink. When we call it is sink. So this is how the heat engine works. Heat is extracted or heat is supplied from a high temperature source, which is designated by Q in, and the heat engine converts part of this heat into work, and the remaining amount of heat is supplied to the or rejected to the sink. This is how the heat engine works. They receive heat from a high temperature source. Suppose it is Q in as shown in this figure, and they convert a part of it, W net, out, and the remaining part, which cannot be converted into the work, and that part is rejected to the sink, and they operate on a cycle, and this will go on. So this is a simplified view how the cycle can be applied to a real example. Here is a boiler where we supply heat in the form of burning coal, and after generation of steam, it is supplied to the turbine where it can generate power, and the steam, after expanding in the turbine, goes to condenser, and after becoming condensate, and it will pump to the boiler again, and it moves on the cycle. So this is how the heat engine works. Thank you for kind attention. Thank you very much.